So good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be addressing should the Federal Reserve be so independent by answering three important questions. Number one, influence of politicians. The second, the efficiency of the Feds. And the third would be accountability. So let's start with the first question. Why do politicians want to influence monetary policy? So the fair answer is straightforward. Monetary policy has powerful short-term effect on economic growth and unemployment, both directly shape election outcomes. So it's short-term. So politicians want economy to be strong heading to elections, so they prefer lower interest rate, faster growth, and reduce unemployment because of those conditions improve their re-election, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it could be the best for the long term. This creates pressure for what economists call political business cycle. So now Fed's independence is designed to shield it from this kind of manipulation. But presidents still try. For example, we can see it today. President Trump repeatedly criticized the Fed to cut interest rate and harshly criticized Jerome Powell, calling him incompetent, faulting him for not lowering rates quickly enough. So this shows how political leaders often attempt to sway monetary policy, even when the institution is meant to remain independent. So now for the second question. Is there evidence that the Fed is too bureaucratic or inefficient? So in the book, some economists argue yes. They point out that the Fed budget often grow faster than overall price level, suggesting bureaucratic expansion. But the Fed also built a strong base among bankers and financial market, which helps protect the independence and reinforce perception that it's self-preserving. In my view, though, however, the real test of the Fed is not whether it looks too bureaucratic, but if it delivers result. In history, it shows that the Fed is the most important during the economic downturn, when its actions are critical to ensuring the economy does not collapse. In those moments, efficiency on paper matters less than effectiveness in practice. So, finally, the third question, is the Fed sufficiently accountable for its actions? That's a very complex question because it comes to accountability. The Fed is clearly responsible for long-run inflation outcomes. So, with failures in the 1960s and 70s, but they did better on the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000. In short run, however, it's difficult to judge whether the Fed could have acted better, which makes oversight challenging. Markets are very complex and constantly changing. In today's world, for example, the rise of digital coins and new financial instrument means historical data is not always a reliable guide. The Fed is not always gonna get it right, but it has shown resilience. For example, navigating through the downturns of the 2008 and the internet downturn for the early 2000s. The important decisions that are made by one person, also, another thing is that the decision that is made by the Feds are not made by not by one person. It's made by an open market committee. So this is a panel of board of governors and presidents from 12 regional federal banks. This collective structure ensures that broader input and helps balance perspective across the system. So let's not forget that they're also economists themselves, so they don't always get it right either. So to summarize, politicians want to influence monetary policy because it affects the election. The Fed may appear bureaucratic, but proves its worth in crisis. And while accountability is imperfect, the Fed collectively decision making and long-term performance show that the independence remains its greatest strength. So that's all I have. Thank you.